Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are listening to this latest episode of the Secret Sorceress Society. I am so delighted to have the fantastic holistic pharmacist Jolanta back with me because I've got the next phase of my journey to share with you. And as you know, this podcast and this YouTube series is all about educating and empowering so that we can all become better informed consumers of our own bodies, minds, spirits, and souls. So before we get started, just to let you know, we are recording this on the 8th of August. We are still in the grips of a heat wave here in the UK. I'm sitting in the coolest part of my house. So if the dog barks, I will press pause. But also, Yolanta's just informed me for the benefit of the sound quality, she switched the air conditioning off in her office, in her garden. So if you see either of us changing colour, fanning ourselves gently, or just simply wiping our brows, you know that we are real life in action with perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal women. You know, this is the reality as it happens. So, hello, Jolanta, how are you?
Hi, Mary. I'm really good. Thank you again for inviting me back on.
No, absolutely. And the reason why I wanted to invite Jolanta on was just to share this next phase of my own menopause journey, because I'm now 3 years since my last period. I had my first Dutch test done. So just to remind everybody, the Dutch test is the gold standard of hormone testing. It does so much more than simply tell you where your estrogen and progesterone levels are. And I had mine done 18 months ago, my first one. And that was so insightful for me. It confirmed some things that I knew about myself, but Jolanta was also then able to give me some great insights, some tweaks, and to support me with another supplement. And literally within 3 days, I felt like I was back in the game, and I've been, doing really well for the last 18 months. However, in the last 6 months, I would say I started to feel as if things weren't quite where they should be. My sleep started to become disrupted again. Whilst my energy levels were really good, I was noticing, that maybe at times my energy might go, my hot flushes, my power surges, because I tend to just get this power surge were coming. And I just thought maybe it was time to check in again. I'd also had COVID in August 2021. And I was aware that there's quite a lot of, I don't know if I want to call it research or anecdotal research, showing that having had COVID can impact on our hormones as well. So I just wanted to have another check-in. Jolanta and I have had our own one-to-one, but I then wanted to share the results with everybody because, for me, it's all about openness and transparency and showing just what we can and can't do to support ourselves. One of the main reasons being is I was asked a few weeks ago, am I the menopause rock star on or off HRT? And I thought that was such an interesting question because there's such a strong narrative around at the moment, isn't it, that the only way is HRT. Now, I chose a natural route, but I could, of course, argue that it hasn't been completely natural because I have used supplementation. So, is that my form of HRT? Is that how I've done it? And also, Yolanta and I want to make it very, very clear from the start of this podcast that we are not anti-HRT, but we tend to work and support women who are looking for alternatives or how to support the HRT route as well. And so for me, I think it's really important that there is another narrative out there sharing other options for women so that we can be informed consumers and have a choice. So that was a very long opening gambit from myself. Jolanta, anything you'd like to share before we get into my second Dutch results?
I absolutely agree with you, Mari. I've been a pharmacist for a good 30 years. Um, I'm not anti HRT, but I feel there's not enough information out there as to once if a woman is considering HRT or is already on HRT, you still need to have that to take care of your body. Be mindful of what you're eating, the amount of alcohol you're drinking, the amount of sugar you're putting into your body, because when you put more estrogen and progesterone into your body, and this is why I love the Dutch test, because it gives us a biochemical snapshot as to how the body is then dealing with HRT or not. And when we go through your Dutch, you'll see that there's a way the Dutch tests indicate how the liver is processing the estrogen. And there's three different pathways it can choose. And there's a protective pathway and two pathways that, yes, a percentage of the hormones are detoxed but via that pathway, but we want it to be within a certain range. But what I am finding in my clinic is that women are on HRT. They may have been on it for years, and they're saying to me, do you know, in the first 12 months, it really worked. But after that, I got all my symptoms back. I'm flushing again. I can't sleep. I've got brain fog. The weight is piling on. And when we do the Dutch, I get a picture of exactly what's happening, and they're actually becoming estrogen dominant. So that's why I just absolutely love the Dutch test, because it really gives us some clarity on the biochemistry.
Okay, we're just going to let Gatsby gently bark in the background so that people know that this is real life. Now you touched on a couple of key points there, Jolanta, that I think it might be worth exploring and explaining. I obviously understand. I always sound so pretentious, doesn't it? I obviously understand the importance of liver health, but why is it so? Why is it important that as well as I think as any woman or it's got anyone that's going has a menstrual
I'm
cycle.
flushing.
Yeah.
Apologies. It's really warm in here. I switched the aircon off because I thought it's going to be really loud in the background and it will disturb the call.
Oh, well, as I say, if it gets unbearable, if we can cope with a barking dog. So, liver health is so important to the menstrual cycle anyway, isn't it? Why is that? What does it mean that we need to be detoxifying estrogen or we end up estrogen dominant?
Okay, so once the body has made use of the estrogen, however little or however much there is in the body, it's a large majority is shunted into the liver to be detoxified so it can, yeah, the body can then get rid of it. And there's three phases of detoxification. Two of those happen in the liver. And in the first phase, what the liver actually does, and it does this with medications as well, it actually makes them, by detoxifying them, it makes them actually more potent.
Yeah.
And then in phase two, what it does, it just parcels up all that estrogen. It's almost like putting your rubbish in a dustbin and then moving the dustbin out onto the street, ready for the bin men to come. And so then this packaged estrogen goes into the large intestine, and that's where we want good gut microbiome to be able to then, yeah, you just eliminate it in your stool. And so that's like the bin men coming to take away the bin.
Mm.
So if the liver is not doing this appropriately, then obviously that estrogen is not going to get broken down properly. And once it gets to the intestines, if the gut microbiome isn't balanced, that lovely wrapped parcel gets unpicked. And so that estrogen is reabsorbed into the body. And so that's where women can get more estrogen dominant symptoms. And estrogen is one of those Goldilocks hormones. You don't want too little, you don't want too
Yeah.
much. And the symptoms of low estrogen and high estrogen can be very, very similar. So, especially when a woman's going through perimenopause and those lows and surges, it's very difficult to know, well,
Yeah.
why is she experiencing that symptom? Is it high estrogen? Is it low estrogen? And of course, if estrogen's high, then to the ratio of progesterone, then so there's a lot involved
Yeah.
in the biochemistry.
Just out of curiosity, because a thought's just come to me as you've been speaking, and it's something that I always speak about, and is normally the point where everybody switches off or grabs their glass of wine. If somebody has a liver, I always say if your liver's feeling a little bit challenged, and they are also they're on HR and HRT, but they're also quite a heavy drinker, could that be also influencing the impact or the negative impact of taking HRT?
Absolutely, because for these phases of detoxification, we need certain cofactors. So cofactors are those, they're like vitamins or minerals, and alcohol depletes our body of vitamins and minerals. So in those phases, if there's any sort of deficiency, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, it's just made me think about, I did a talk last week, and it was very, I always bring up the alcohol point because it kind of is a bit of fun because everybody's like, how dare you, but there was that element of don't take my wine away from me. But the impact of the wine on our hormonal health is quite telling, isn't it? And it's like, how do we get this message across? And then I was listening to a podcast today with Fern Cotton, and she was talking about the fact that particularly the British culture it's very negative to be a non-drinker, isn't it? It's like, we were born to drink, but so for some of us self-medicating on alcohol, we're actually doing a lot of potential damage to our overall bodies. Anyway, I'll get off the alcohol soapbox, because what I've picked up already from what you are saying is the importance of liver health. You've talked about the importance of gut health. We need to understand our detoxification pathways. We need to know exactly what our ratios of estrogen and progesterone are. But the other thing that was really interesting for me when I had my first Dutch test done was my cortisol levels, aka they were the non-existent cortisol levels that I have. And I think, I can remember you saying to me, you shouldn't really be able to get out of bed in the morning, because I was so flatlined. And I think at that time of life, I was choosing when I did get up, how I was using my energy. So I wasn't training, I wasn't this, that, and all the rest of it. So at that time, the recommendation from me was to take something called glutathione, and a mitochondrial support. So let's just look at each of those. So glutathione, why was glutathione so important?
So so when we did your Dutch test a couple of years ago, your glutathione levels showed low. Now, glutathione, it's like a major antioxidant um, that's produced by the liver, nerve cells, and it's made from amino acids And it's basically, it's involved in tissue building, repairing DNA, any DNA damage, detoxification. It's used in the production of hormones, enzymes, and it's also really important for the immune system as well. So it does need, and we're going back a little bit to detoxification as well, it needs something called sulfur. Now, sulfur is a really, really important, how shall I say, molecule in the body. I mean, without it, we'd be very, very tired. We would be overstressed, pain, wrinkles, and we have about 140 grams of it as stored in protein. So sulfur's found in cruciferous veg like broccoli, kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, rocket leaves, watercress, eggs, onions, garlic. You can also get it through Epsom salt baths. So this sulfur is really, really important um, for the body to be able to manufacture glutathione. And with low glutathione, fat burning can be affected. So, studies are showing that people who have low glutathione or are very deficient, they, the body stores more fat. And glutathione, there's some studies showing that it can really improve insulin resistance as well in older adults. And sometimes once you put glutathione as a supplement back into the diet, the glutathione levels spike like within 2 weeks. So it can be quite fast.
Yeah.
And that can really improve insulin resistance and fat burning, and just people just, they find they're sleeping better, their energy levels are better.
And that's really interesting? And I'm going to ask you another question in a moment, but from what you've just said, when we think, because we still live in this world of it's all about the way we look, the middle age spread is one of the big things for a lot of midlife women. In particular, I'm one of the reasons I said to you is I said I know I'm putting cake and chocolate in my mouth, but I'm not gorging on packets every day. I just can't shift any weight. Insulin resistance, and then I'm thinking, the biggest killer of women is heart disease. So if we're carrying, and that's the concern for me as I carry my weight in the middle, which is the worst place to carry weight. So we've got potential heart disease. We know that Alzheimer's dementia is worse in or is more predominant in women than it is in men, and obviously as well, in some cases dementia, Alzheimer's, is known as type 3 diabetes, because again there's a link there to blood sugars and to insulin resistance. And I know for me, balancing my blood sugars has become sort of like my number one priority, because it affects my sleep, it affects my flushes, it affects my cognitive function, etc., etc., etc. Is glutathione something that naturally drops through time? How does it get you? How would it be depleted with age?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that speeds that up?
So, anything that's going to put more of a burden on the liver. So, drinking alcohol. Yeah.
Would stress, what about stress or illness or medication or?
So, certainly, with illness, so anything that affects the immune system, any sort of illness, viral, bacterial, can deplete the body, not only of glutathione, but lots of other vitamins, minerals, etc. And there's, I like to follow Dr. Tina Pierce.
Right.
She is a functional medical doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and she's done quite a lot on MCAS, master activation syndrome, and histamine intolerance. And she's really turned her attention now to helping people through long COVID. And she really does talk a lot about glutathione
Right.
in that respect. And when somebody has been through COVID, she does supplementation with glutathione
Yeah. Okay.
just to help the body to really strengthen the immune system.
Yeah, because I don't think there's a woman I know now who hasn't had COVID in the last 2 years. And if they didn't have it in the last 2 years, they've had it in the last couple of months as everyone's gone back on holidays and to festivals and got. And I'm not saying that from a finger pointing perspective. It's we've gone through the stress of the last 2 years, which I know will have affected so many people, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and so on and so forth. But also if we've then been fighting, and I'm the person now that if I see anyone sort of commenting, particularly with my background being in the fitness industry, and I see any sort of fit pro colleagues saying, I've got COVID, I'm this, I'm that, and I need to get back on it, I'm there in the background saying, please do not rush back or try and make up for 10 days of inactivity and so on and so forth, because I didn't, the only symptom I had was extreme tiredness. I lost my smell and taste for about a day, and I was bunged up, but I had no cough, I had nothing respiratory, I was just so tired. And I'm really lucky, I have no children, I'm self-employed. I basically thought, what, I keep seeing all of these people I know getting long COVID, I'm just going to lie here for about a month and look after myself. And thank goodness I've come back, and I've got good energy. But as I say, the reason I got back in touch with you was the flushes were coming back. I'm not shifting any weight whatsoever. And whilst I want to be in a place of acceptance, the weight for me isn't about aesthetics, it's about health.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about the insulin, and I could tell just anecdotally, sometimes I can literally put food in my mouth and I get a hot flush. If I don't eat within certain amounts of time, I get a hot flush. Now that isn't me snacking, but if I leave too long between, let's say, lunch and dinner, because my partner eats really late, so I've literally had to say to him, we can't eat together during the week because it just doesn't suit where I am. So what for you was interesting about my second Dutch test?
So I've just got my notes here, so that's why I'm just
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
away. So with your second Dutch test, so well, first of all, the good things, there were
yeah,
some good things. Your
yeah. That's
melatonin levels had increased,
yeah,
and actually your adrenal health was better. And I think it looked like you've been really supporting your thyroid. You have been taking care of yourself, but you were still because the adrenals need to have this rhythm. We produce more cortisol in the morning, and then that sort of tapers off and it goes up a little bit in the afternoon, and then we want it to go down again um, at night time. And again, you were peaking a little bit, but then it was still a really flat line. So what could be the reason for that? So you know, I know we spoke about lifestyle, didn't we? And taking more time um, for yourself. Um, but also because it's not just the cortisol that the adrenals produce, they also produce an androgen, a sex hormone called DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. And although that one was stable, what was really lacking was this sulfur. And I
Yeah.
know we spoke about the how to get more sulfur um, into the body.
Yeah.
Um, your testosterone levels had actually increased a little bit,
Yay for
and you know
exercise.
that is, you know, strength training, weight bearing exercise, and just getting more sleep or good quality sleep can really help that. Um, Now, what was showing? So your glutathione was still low,
Hmm.
and that could have been due to a viral illness,
Yeah.
but also your neurotransmitters were very, very low. So we're talking about there's a marker that highlights noradrenaline and adrenaline. And when the body isn't making enough of that, we can get sleep disturbances, fatigue, and also this inability to deal with stress. So I think this goes really hand in hand with what was picked up with the adrenal health and the cortisol. And usually that is due to a deficiency again in these cofactors.
Mm.
Um, vitamin, a lot of the B vitamins, especially B2, B6, copper, iron. So yeah, and once we replenish those vitamins and minerals
Mm.
um, over time, that will support the body to make these neurotransmitters.
Yeah. Fabulous. So, if you're listening on the podcast, we're just going to have a little break before we dive back in because I've obviously got some more questions because I only do this so that I can have more time with Jolanta. So, welcome back. So, Yolanta was just talking about the cofactors and how we can put more things in. And I think what's really interesting for me is I came away from the conversation and I said to my partner, right, I need to eat earlier so that I've rested and digested before I go to sleep. I need to not be tidying the kitchen at 10 o'clock at night when we're going to bed. So I need to get everything done that I need to get done before, sort of like for me, 8, 9 o'clock at the absolute latest. So I'm then relaxing before I go to bed. What else was obviously we can't eat together. I want to get blue different colored bulbs for around the house. But what I also remember saying to him is, I don't think I can work any less than I already do. But what I do still struggle with is just having downtime, is resting and properly resting, not resting and sending out 6 emails because something comes to me, not resting doing 3 different things, watching a film, flicking through a magazine, having a brainstorm about the next crystal bracelet that I'm going to make. So it just shows that there's always still work to do, and more work to do, but not from a overwhelmed perspective, because that's the last thing that any of us want as well. But the other thing that because I know I eat cruciferous vegetables, I love putting onions in everything. You swap the type of glutathione that I was using. What can you explain what the reason for that was?
Yes. So there's different ways of supplementing glutathione in the body, and not everyone suits a particular supplement.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, one of the best ways to get glutathione into the body and make you feel a lot better very, very quickly is IV.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So they're usually given with high dose vitamin C. They're very expensive,
Mm,
but probably for a good 12 to 24 hours, yeah, you'll probably feel really energized and,
mm,
switched on. Now, glutathione it's a big molecule, so it's really difficult to actually put it into a supplement that will then be utilized by the body. And sometimes you've got to switch different brands or supplements. So usually it's found with sulfur.
mm,
There's sulfur again. I switched yours from a brand that increases glutathione by certain specific proportions of herbs, which worked at the beginning, didn't it,
oh,
Mari?
without shadow. I mean, like, that's the thing. I'm like, within 3 days, I was like, hello. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
And so this time we've switched it slightly. And I recommended a liquid supplement with the sulfur.
Yeah.
But also, there is a third way that you can increase glutathione, and that would be to actually take the combination of the amino acids that then are used to make
Ah,
glutathione.
okay.
So that's the glycine and cysteine. Now, usually that comes in capsule form, so it does take a little bit longer to show
Mm,
an effect, which is
mm,
why we went down the liquid way with the added sulfur.
yeah. Now, just as a sort of due diligence perspective, if somebody was listening to this and thought, "Oh my gosh, I'm really lacking in energy. I'm just going to go and get me some glutathione." Is there any negative aspects of someone just going and getting glutathione just because they've listened to this podcast and think, well, that's obviously then what I need?
No, definitely, you need to seek some advice
Right. Okay.
because there's so many different reasons
Yeah.
why you might be feeling tired, and you might be on medication. You might be on HRT. There might be something else going on.
Mm,
Now, with some of these companies, there might be a phone number so you can actually speak to
yeah.
a practitioner before you purchase. But I would never advise just going out there and Googling or,
Yeah.
buying on Amazon glutathione.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And I suppose the other aspect is like with with HRT is like, or any medication, one of the things is, I'm now 18 months on, I'm 18 months further into this chapter of my life. Things have changed. I've been far more active, yay for exercise and seeing that testosterone improve, yay for bringing more joy into my life, or, again, that's something that really, really supports testosterone manufacturing. Yay for more sunshine. I have spent a lot more time outside walking and exercise, and that was the big thing for me because energy is a very important value of mine. And as someone who's always moved and always exercised, it felt very fraudulent and very difficult that I simply just couldn't exercise. And I've now found a way of exercising, one, because I've got the energy to do it, but two, my body is responding. But that's no different, I would say, even for a woman on HRT, whether they come and see you, if 2 years on, if you've been on the same thing for 2 years, surely it's time to just go and have a recheck and, make sure everything's doing what it should be doing. If you're not feeling as great, just checking in, because, particularly as women, every day we wake up as a new version of ourselves, as our energy shifting. And I know once we're on the other side of the menopause transition and we no longer have the rolling estrogen and progesterone. But, you know, there may be changes to our stress. There may be changes in our relationships. There may be changes in our workload. There may be changes in our care requirements. We may have changed our diet because we've heard keto, vegan, you know, plant-based is the new best thing. And we've gone and done something that has physically changed what's going on in our bodies. So as I've been listening to you, you know, for me, of course, it makes sense. And I know you've spoken something like the Dutch test, definitely every couple of years, just to check in and see where you're at. But that obviously entails a cost, which not everybody is available. So can we talk a little bit about your health hub and how that could support women who maybe think, I love what Jolanta's saying, this is all really great information, I just simply at this stage can't afford to get my Dutch test done. What else could I do that would really support me holistically?
So I'd love to talk about the hub, but I
Yeah,
just want to backtrack a
yeah.
little bit just to follow on from what you've said. So usually when a woman seeks my advice, you know, one of the first things that I will say to her is get a full blood panel done. Because that is sort of the foundation, and you can get that done free. If you're in the UK,
Yeah,
you can get that done from your doctors.
yeah.
And they did offer, I mean, before COVID, I think as every woman got to 45, they did offer a check, because I remember going for
Mm.
one and having a full blood works, you know, cholesterol, blood pressure, because there's markers there that can give us a lot of information. And if something is out, this can cause symptoms. So, vitamin D status. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot of research being done now with the correlation between women going through the menopause, and that really affects vitamin D levels in their bodies. And, you know, all the symptoms that can come from vitamin D deficiency. You know, I would want to see the vitamin B12, iron, thyroid health as well, and also HbA1c, which is a blood sugar marker that sort of checks your blood sugars from the last 2 to 3 months. Because if any of those are out, this is the first thing
Mm.
needs to be rebalanced. And yes, the Dutch test, yes, it is expensive. And I just want to say, because if there are any women thinking, you know, I'd love to have a Dutch test, but, you know, I can't afford that right now, there's a new test that has just come onto the market. It's called a HUMAP, HUMAP. It's made by or developed by a company called Doctors Data, and it is cheaper than the Dutch, but it doesn't give you the melatonin, glutathione, and the neurotransmitters like the Dutch complete
Right.
does. And so I do have to say, I've got some, because it's brand new, I've got some on special offer. So if you're interested, get in touch with me.
Amazing.
The other thing I just want to say is that we have been discussing the complete Dutch test,
Mm-hmm.
which is the sex hormones, their metabolites, adrenal health, and melatonin,
Yeah.
glutathione, etc. But you can get a Dutch test, like a mini version, that just really checks estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and then the breakdown products. So how the liver is detoxing. So that is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So, for example, if there are women out there thinking, I don't know whether to go on HRT, or they might already be on HRT and wondering, do I, you know, something feels a bit off. Do I
Mm.
need to get this checked?
Mm.
You know, that is another option.
Amazing.
Is
Yeah,
to have
great.
the mini. the
Yeah.
mini Dutch.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just called the sex hormones and metabolism.
Because I suppose at the end of the day, like you said, we started this conversation, you know, testing is, like you say, whether you get your blood works, just testing and knowing is about being informed, isn't it? It's about knowing what is going on, what's the right thing to do. So if there's different levels, then that's fantastic. So thank you for sharing that, and hopefully that then has given anybody listening a range of options available to them. But definitely, if you are listening and you've been sitting on the fence or thinking, then jump on the, was it HUMAP that you said? And HUMAP,
Yeah.
and take advantage of that, because knowledge, for me, knowledge is power. And
Power, absolutely.
and it really does help. Sometimes I think, when we're talking about, stopping drinking or balancing my blood, I'm making out that everyone's alcoholics, which they're not, but it's that whole element of, if we don't know our why or our purpose, or what the benefit is to us of doing it. And most people just want to feel well, don't they? They want to feel vibrant, they want good energy, they don't want to feel so snarly and snitchy. That's what, I'm seeing a lot of women, they're just like, oh my god, even I don't like being around me, I'm just like, Cruella de Vil on steroids. So if that's the end goal, is to show up as this vibrant, fun loving, pleasurable, can get things done, knows how to rest, work and play kind of person, then that's the benefit of having this, because then you can go back and go, oh yeah, but my liver doesn't cope with this so well, or this is the reason why I'm turning up to do the weight bearing exercise, because it's helping to elevate my testosterone. Oh, am I going to have that next glass of, oh no, maybe just the one, because I know it does this and this. So that for me is part of the reason for the education. So just before you talk about the hub, we're just going to have another little break, and then we're going to come back. So here we are, ready to just hear all about Jolanta's hub. Now I'm a part of that, and my goodness, there is so much amazing information in there, and I can see how much the other members of the community are really benefiting and enjoying the knowledge that you're sharing. So tell us a little bit about the hub and how people can find out more, and again, I'll put all the links in the show notes.
Thank you. Yes. So, for a while now, I've wanted to give something or offer something to women that was low cost.
Mm.
Because in the discovery calls that I get, women will say, oh, I'd just love to work with you, but it's just out of my budget. And,
Yeah.
I've always felt, oh gosh, I wish there was some way I could still support them. So I always say, oh, well, go and read this book or this book. And in the end, I've been like giving them 4 books to read, and they're probably the way they're feeling. They don't want to be sat reading four books. So what I really wanted to do was to offer something, a community, a space where I could give the knowledge, the facts, what works, what doesn't work, based on my 30 plus years of experience as a pharmacist and also a nutritional therapist. I've worked with Leader as well, so I've had their training, especially in a lot of the herbal medicine. And so I launched this in June. Now, my thought was that I was only going to run this till June 2023.
Right.
So it's like a membership group.
Mm-hmm.
So a woman can jump on
Yeah.
for 1 month, 2 months, look at the information, then she can leave. Now, at the moment, it's $9.99, but it's a month, but it's going up in September. Or if a woman thinks, yeah, I'm in, and wants to join right until June 2023, it's £99.
Ah,
And if you pay £99, you actually get 20% off any testing
oh, amazing.
right up until June. So if it's in your radar, but maybe not right now, maybe after Christmas, then you'll get 20% off. And so, what I'm doing is modules, really looking at what's priority. So last month we were all about optimal hydration,
Yeah,
the importance of that, because it's not about just the quantity of water that you drink. This month it's all about blood sugar control. Um, Next month it's all going to be about weight and how to allow the body to start releasing weight. And then, there'll be things on the immune system, hair loss, skin health, gut health, how to keep your cholesterol levels in
yeah,
check, all sorts of topics. And also, there's also a Facebook group
yeah,
where women can ask questions. I jump on and do a little live. And the thing is, it gives women an opportunity to ask me questions, maybe indirectly because we don't see each other
yes,
face to face, like in a one-to-one consultation. But women are sending me their blood test results and saying, Yolanta, just quickly, can you just clarify what is this? What does
yeah,
this mean?
yeah,
Or any question. It could be about vaginal health. What
mm,
is the best vaginal cream?
yeah,
Um, that you may not necessarily have the chance to ask a doctor or even your local pharmacist at,
mm.
Boots or Lloyd's or so it's an opportunity for women to have some sort of access to me on a low cost basis.
Amazing, amazing. So as I said, we'll put the links to that below when we on the podcast and on the YouTube, and also what as well if I'm sharing this on my social media platforms as well, because I think having access, because do you something like Ask Me Thursday or Talk to Me Thursday?
Yes,
Yeah,
so the last Thursday of every month,
yeah,
I'm answering questions
yeah.
that I've
I think
had
that's
throughout the
yeah,
month. Because if
yeah,
one woman has asked a question, it's
exactly.
like
Yeah,
everyone else wants to know as well. It's probably a question they've been thinking of as well.
yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And so thank you for offering that to everybody. Again, I've sort of been telling as many people as I can, because between us, it's all about empowering and educating women. And for me, about us coming back and advocating for ourselves, because nobody knows our bodies better than anybody else. So I look forward to letting you know in a few months time, well hopefully in 10 days time, the difference from the start of my new protocol. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting though, isn't it? This heat isn't how it does. I don't think it matters. The heat is really affecting our sleep as well. So that again, for me, there's the importance of making sure all the other things are in place, the hydration, the balancing the blood sugars, the bedtime routine, grabbing a nap if you can. I know that's hard as well if you work in a 9 to 5 and so on and so forth. So thank you as always for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Is there anything else that you would like to say at this point about supporting, or the one takeaway you think anyone should know about this phase of their life?
Well, one thing that we didn't mention is the importance of fiber.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I know it's boring, but when we go back to what we were talking about, liver detoxification, fiber is so
And
important.
are we
And
talking
I
about
know
plant-based fiber, not grain-based fiber?
exactly plant-based fiber. So again, this is where the cruciferous veg come in, but veg of all different colors as well. So that is super, super, super important. And I just wanted to mention that because it's been in the back of my mind that, I didn't mention it right at the beginning.
Because again, it
25
helps.
to 30 grams.
25 to 30 grams. So what would that look like in terms of, is that a head of cauliflower? Is it, how much is that, do you think?
Oh my goodness, off the top of my head.
I always used to equate it to a 500-gram bag of spinach.
Yeah.
I always used to think I always used to say you need a pound of vegetables, you need 500 grams of vegetables minimum. That's a bag of spinach. So again, it's that element of not just sprinkling a little bit of watercress on the side of your plate, but obviously, if you're listening to this and you at the moment have a very, very low fiber diet, I'm assuming we don't go tomorrow and put 30 grams on our plate.
No. We need to go slow because your gut won't like it. And the recommendations around having not just 5 fruit and veg a day. It's like women over a certain age, it's like minimize the fruit and go, concentrate more on the veg.
Yeah.
So I'd be looking at a good 2 cups of cruciferous veg a day.
Yeah.
And probably I would say that sort of a nice big handful of, say, some leaves like rocket,
Yeah.
watercress,
Yeah.
romaine lettuce, although that's not a cruciferous veg. That's a good start, but go slow, build up slowly.
Yeah, definitely.
In my hub, this is what
Yeah.
we talk about: fiber and the best plant sources and how to build up to 25 to 30 grams a day.
Yeah, because I'm really looking, because obviously we've spoken a little bit and I'm just mindful of our time. But one of the things about having your fiber is, I think most of us think about, oh, fiber, yeah, it helps me poop, and poop's really important, but it's really good for helping to balance the blood sugars as well, isn't it? And doing all kinds. So I've been changing the way that I eat now. So I start with maybe some leaves or my vegetables before my fat and protein, and then I have my carbohydrates at the end. Not always that, the hands up, I life's too short now for me not to eat cake and chocolates, but in my meals, and I'm definitely noticing a difference from eating my food in that order, which may sound a little bit like, oh no, that then looks like you've got some kind of disorder or whatever. But no, actually eating that fiber, because there's something that the fiber does, but this is all inside the hub, but there's something the fiber does, the stomach lining, that helps us to balance our appetite, our cravings, our blood sugars, which is just a game changer. I have definitely noticed my portion size has changed in the last few weeks, and that can only be a good thing for me then doing something about my midlife midriff. So thank you for calling that in. And of course, I'm wearing green today, and Jolanta's surrounded by plants if you do go and watch us live. So thank you for that really, really important takeaway. I look forward to sharing lots more clients with you, and between us, helping to bring women back to their absolutely fabulous best. So thank you again for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.